everyone with a Vital Reality. I'm Casey Rain.
I'm Camilia.
And welcome to the Purple Request Show, episode 2.
The long-awaited episode 2.
It's been a long time since episode 1, and for that we profusely apologise.
Yes.
We did not intend for it to be that long, but then several things came up.
Like stuff has happened, hasn't it?
Like all the videos we've done. Look at them. Our interview with Angie Marchese and hanging out with the NPG and all this awesome stuff. Go watch our videos if you haven't already. But now we are back here with the Purple Request Show.
It's time to answer some of your questions, the viewers.
Yay.
So the very first question is from Bridget's Vids, and the question is, what is your favourite song from Purple Rain? And why don't you take the lead here, Casey?
Okay, so I have a really interesting story about this actually, and I think lots of you will relate. So obviously I first heard the Purple Rain album when I was very, 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 very young, and the songs that stood out to me were the obvious ones, the hits. So When Doves Cry and Purple Rain and Take Me With You and things like that. And the first few times that I had ever listened to the Purple Rain album, probably actually for quite a while, maybe a couple of years, I didn't really get Computer Blue. And it sounds so weird to me to even say that now, but like I remember that this was the case. Like we're talking like, over 15 years ago, 20 years ago maybe even. But that was the case for, the first few years that Purple Rain was an album that I listened to like all the time. And so because of that, I haven't sort of burned that song out as much as some of the other songs. So some of the other songs now, and I think you know what I mean when you've listened to an album millions and millions of times, you don't even hear the song anymore because you've heard it so many times, unless there's like a special sort of occasion or a reason, or you're out of your normal listening environment or something. Like you just know it so intimately that you know every little detail of it, and sometimes you feel a little bit burned out with those songs. And that's not the case for me with Computer Blue. It still feels a little bit more fresh to me than some of the others, just because it wasn't a song that I played on repeat over and over and over again all those years ago. So my favourite song, Purple Rain, changes all the time, but at the moment it's Computer Blue, especially since we got the full hallway speech version on Purple Rain Deluxe. So, Computer Blue!
Yes, alright, so my story is a little bit different. So obviously I grew up with Purple Rain as well when I was quite a young child. I had just discovered my mom's vinyl in the attic. Purple Rain was there. I was like, whoa, this looks interesting. There's like flowers on the cover, and oh my god, what a cool man is on there. Let's listen to this, So they put on that vinyl for me. Very first song that I hear is Let's Go Crazy. Now, do you know what that sounds like on vinyl? If you have it really loud on vinyl, it just sounds so good. I think one of my, it's just so loud. I love that one. I love all songs on Purple Rain, but I think my most favourite actually is, don't judge me on that one, I think my most favourite is Darling Nikki, just because as a tiny child I wasn't allowed to listen to that at all because it was really, really, really raunchy, and I think we all have a bit of a Darling Nikki in us as women, obviously, because it was not so much about portraying her as some kind of sexual object, but it was actually, she was the women here. She was like, he was empowering the women. She was like the leading lady in that whole adventure in that song, and I just love that.
She was the one in control of the situation,
exactly.
rather than the other way around. So it's like.
So I love that, and I think with that song, it's always been sort of my thing that I always wanted to be like a girl like that, having control of every situation, like staying really strong in her shoes in life. So I think that was the message that I got out of that song, so I just love it. And then obviously I have a really weak spot for Take Me With You, because I used to play that every summer and I still do, and I love it so much. Now, I just love every song on the album, like Computer Blue is just amazing. Who makes an instrumental like that? Also the beautiful ones, and I just love everything.
Every song on Purple Rain is our favourite. That is the only correct answer.
But we have our little special one. So yeah, for me that's Darling Nikki. For Casey, it's Computer Blue. At the moment, anyway.
Speaking of Take Me With You, like whenever I saw Prince live and he would do Take Me With You, that drum intro would just send the crowd just nuts, because it's one of those just like instantly recognisable thing as soon as it kicks in, and like the crowd like starts freaking out. So that was one thing.
And we're forgetting to mention When Doves Cry, guys. Oh my god. I mean, just that speaks for itself. You can have a song with no bass in it, and it's just that massive
stands alone, unique.
Yeah, it's just, guys, we can't pick, okay?
Does that answer your question?
But yeah, tell us what your favourite song is on Purple Rain, or can you not pick like us?
Second question is from Donna Gossett, and she said, what was the longest period of time that Prince went without releasing an album or single? Now, for there to be a year in Prince's whole career where he didn't release an album was a very, very rare thing.
Yeah.
So it happened in 1983 because he was working on Purple Rain, the movie. So you had the 1999 album that came out in 82, and then you had Purple Rain that came out in 84, and so there was no album out in 83. The same thing happened in 2005.
Yeah.
There was Musicology came out in 2004, 3121 came out in 2006, and I presume he was working on the 3121 movie in 2005, which never came out as well, which explains the delay. I obviously I don't remember 1983, I wasn't born, but I do remember this gap between Musicology and 3121, and it just felt like the longest period of time. We had become so accustomed to having Prince release new music every year. It was like clockwork. Like every year, a new Prince album. It's like the event of the year. But 2005 was a very long year. No new Prince album. We did get the charity single that he did for Hurricane Katrina, which was called SST, and I have the CD single of that. I remember going to the store and buying the CD single of that. I was like, yes, finally some new Prince music, and it was a little bit somber because it was a song for the hurricane, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like the excitement level like we would get of getting a new Prince album. And then, of course, towards the tail end of 2005, he dropped Ti Amo Corazon, and that led up to the release of 3121 in early 2006.
Yeah.
And that long period more than paid off for me.
Was
because
it worth the wait? Yeah.
It was worth the wait, and I'll tell you why. Universal Records invited me to the listening party for 3121, which was 6 weeks before the album came out, and so I got to hear the album before anyone else in this like luxury club in London. There was symbols everywhere and engraved symbols on glass, and you know the head honchos of Universal played the album, and they didn't even give us any track names or anything, and we had to like figure them out for themselves. And because of that, I ended up writing the world's first review of the 3121 album. So that was amazing.
That's a whole video in itself, actually. I think we've said that.
I already read a
before,
blog about it, but yeah.
But yeah, so my one question to you here is, you think that Prince read your review?
Oh, I know he read my review.
Yeah,
yeah, I know he read
cool.
my review because it was the first one, and it was posted on prince.org, and he always used to go on the org.
That's
so
true.
yeah, he was waiting for, you know, every album he'd wait for the first reviews to come in, and then, you know, he'd just sort of devour them, and like we knew that was a thing that he did, and he probably laughed at my guesses of some of the track names, because like some of them were just like way like off base, like because they didn't give us the track titles. Some of them were like bang on, like I mean some of them were obvious. I mean you hear Black Sweat, you know what Black Sweat is called. But
Are
yeah.
you sure it wasn't called Working Up? No.
So that was a fun time. But actually the longest period of time was between 2010 and 2014. So
Yeah.
the 2010 album came out in 2010.
No.
Duh. And then Prince didn't release another full album until the combo of Artificial Age and Plectrum Electrum in 2014. So there was this huge gap between the year 2010 and the year 2014 where there was no albums, although he did release, you know, quite a lot of songs online at the time through
like singles and
various
things,
websites and whatnot.
Do you remember how happy we were when he released Rock and Roll Love Affair and then released a video clip for us all? I'm going like, oh god, Prince is on Twitter,
It's
Prince
gonna
is
be a
back,
new
we
album.
missed you so much.
Yeah, but to be fair, like it kind of balanced out, because before 2010 you had the Lotus Flower triple disc, and then you had 2010, so you got 4 basically albums of material in 2 years.
Exactly.
And then when he did release more records, you had Artificial Age and Plectrum Electrum at the same time, so it kind of balances
So
out
like
the
2
gap.
at the time were like more music than like an album's worth per year. Like it's like 3 albums worth in 1 year, so it's like a disc of that album for every year.
Exactly.
So, you know
It
what I
balances
never
out.
like though? When the media says, oh yeah, Prince stopped like making music after like, you know, they never acknowledge Prince for like the rave era and like, you know, like 3121. They just don't know about a lot of stuff.
Every
And
new
it's like,
album was a comeback.
I
It's
know.
like he never went
he
anywhere.
was always making music.
Yeah.
He was just always making music. Even if he was out of the spotlight for a little bit, he was always making music. And still for the fans, like all of you diehard fans that were always there, just know that he was always making music and giving us new stuff.
And it's not like he stopped touring. He was still touring that time.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
saw him in 2011. It was Hop Farm Festival. I saw him again in 2013 in Las Vegas, and he, you know, played new music. He played the breakdown for the, you know, one of the first times at that show, like way before it was out. So it wasn't like, you know, he wasn't releasing albums, but it wasn't like we weren't getting any new music at all. So yeah, but it was still, you know, it did still feel like an eternity for there not to be, you know, an album. especially in between 2010 and 2014.
At that time,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
There's the answer to your question.
Let's not end this on a sad note, but now it's like, we'll never really have a new album anymore. But yeah, we're looking forward to all the releases with like extra stuff on like the albums like they did with Purple Rain Deluxe and all that. But I think it's just for all of us fans a bit of a shock that there's not going to be like a new album anymore. That Hit and Run Phase 2 was the last one, the very last one.
Yeah, it was like
from him.
It's sort of like it became part of your life. Like every year you have like it's Prince's new album time, and you go on the org and you like write all your thoughts.
Yeah.
And now we don't really have that. But anyway, such is life.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question.
Yep.
So the next question is from Mandy Watts, and she asks, what are your thoughts on Prince doing the sampler set in some of his concerts? Some people think that it was a refreshing and witty way of performing lots of hits, and other people may think it compromised his philosophy of real music by real musicians. Now, I saw Prince do the sampler set on a ton of occasions, like loads of times, probably at least 7 or 8, maybe 9 times, and I loved it every single time. And I'll tell you why. I think a lot of Prince's iconic hits, especially around the time frame of the 80s, a lot of what had a lot of impact for a lot of people, including me, was not just the songwriting but the innovative production styles. And so I mean things like his innovative pioneering use of drum machines and things like that. And now it's very, very difficult to recreate a drum machine pattern like When Doves Cry or 777 9311 or things like that on real drums. It's difficult. It's not, you wouldn't really play those patterns and you wouldn't really get those sounds, and he ran those sounds, through a lot of different like guitar pedals and effects and things to get the sound that you hear on the album. And when he would drop one of those tracks in the sampler set in a big stadium and you would say, for example, Sign of the Times, and he'd drop that Sign of the Times intro beat and it would just boom out across like the whole stadium. It just had this amazing impact that you wouldn't always get if those songs were being played in a traditional manner. And also, I think he probably wouldn't have performed a lot of those songs that went into the sampler set in a traditional manner with a band. You just wouldn't have done them, so you wouldn't have got to hear those songs live, and we did. So because of that, I saw him do things like 777 9311 and Ballad of Dorothy Parker and and like obviously like When Doves Cry and all that crazy stuff, and it was just phenomenal. I just loved it so much. And even things like Glamorous Life and I Love Bizarre, he would like drop those into the sampler set. Sometimes he would just loop up the drum pattern on the sampler, and then he'd pick up a bass and then he'd just jam on top of it or guitar, and that was always awesome.
Wouldn't he tease you with some of the songs that he refused to play as well?
Yeah, and so he'd sort of act like a DJ in parts of it, just drop bits in for like a few bars, and just like the crowd would go nuts. And
you know what that says about Prince? Prince could literally do everything. Prince could DJ, play guitar, sing, play drums, play everything, basically.
Exactly. And I think the other thing with the sampler set is I think he at times was very conflicted about songs that he had said that he wasn't going to play anymore due to, becoming a Jehovah's Witness and things like that. But he still kind of wanted to acknowledge that these songs existed. He didn't want to just, pretend that they'd never existed, because they were an important part of his legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the last times I saw him, he started looping up on the sampler the beginning of Darling Nikki.
Ooh.
And he did it for like quite a long time. Like, it wasn't just like he dropped in like it for a couple of bars. Like, it was probably good, at least maybe 30 to 45 seconds of looping up the intro, and just and he looked like he really wanted to sing it. He just really looked like it, and I thought that he might at one point, but he didn't.
Did the whole crowd go like, sing it?
The crowd was just like going absolutely nuts and like thinking that he was going to sing it, and he looked like he wanted to sing it, and we still it was just like a cool way, even if he'd never intended to sing it, it was a cool way to include that song as part of the concert experience, despite having said that he was never going to perform it before again.
It's also a thing about audience interaction, isn't it? Because when the audience, like obviously big Prince fans go to Prince concert, but also people that maybe know Prince and think that he's good but don't necessarily know all of his like songs that he's ever made and only know those hits, and they will find like a familiar sound, then they can go like, yes, you know, like that. So it's kind of like that as well. So it's like audience interaction too. So Prince was such a smart guy, people, but we all know that.
Exactly. And I remember, I think it may have been the last time I saw him live, which was in 2015. I think it was at that show on the sampler set part, he dropped in parts of The Gold Standard and
nice.
Clouds. And it was like, we hadn't expected to hear those songs in,
Awesome.
being from a new album. So that was awesome as well. So yeah, so overall, I loved the sampler set. It became just an awesome part of the show and a great way to sort of break down the shows into different sections. So you had like your full band performance part, you had your, typically he would do a piano part of the set as well, then you had your sampler set part, and then you'd have an encore with the full band, and it was just a cool way of breaking the show down into sort of different segments. So yeah, I loved it. I loved it every time I saw it, and it got to the point where if he didn't do it, I probably would have been disappointed. So it was just a cool part of the show.
Then again, saying that, you're also allowed to not have liked it. I mean, you're also allowed to comment about that and then tell us why, because, we like to see everything from everybody's perspective, so obviously everyone has different opinions on stuff.
And just adding on to that a little bit, there were a couple of times where I saw him do songs with the full band, and I felt they didn't really work in the way that they'd done the arrangement with a full band, particularly if it was a song from back in the day that was more minimal and electronic. It's very hard to recreate those early 80s sounds in a modern band environment. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Unless you take early 80s instruments with you, that probably have broken at that time. Just take a broken keyboard with you, like a broken guitar, like broken guitar pedals and stuff. So yeah.
Bobby Z appears on stage with his like Simmons electronic drums from like 1983.
I've got Tommy with the purple axe as well, like, so yes.
Actually, I saw the purple axe on stage at Prince's last show in the UK.
Was it played?
No, he didn't play it, but it was on the stage, and it was there. So the next question is from Mr. DXW1213.
That's a mouthful. He says, if you were to take 5 Prince albums to a desert island, which 5 Prince albums would you take?
Okay, I'm gonna go first.
Oh.
Dirty Mind.
Yeah.
Purple Rain.
Uh-huh.
Sign of the Times.
Yes.
Come.
Uh-huh. And?
3121.
That's your 5. You're not allowed to say anymore. Is that your final pick? Are you sure? Are you sure you want to take that?
Yeah.
You want to leave all the other albums behind and just take those? That's
my pick for right now.
Right. We'll come back to this question a year later and see if it's still the same. So my 5, this is really hard, would be, first one, Emancipation. Emancipation is my baby. It's like one of my favourite Prince albums in the world.
Hey, that's cheating because it's 3 discs. You only get to pick 1 disc.
No. I'm taking all 3. See, you could have done it like that.
Damn it.
And then Love Sexy, because I just love Sexy, okay? It's just like, it's so happy and it's so different, and yeah. And then my 3rd one would be Dirty Mind, because I need some of that in my life when I'm on the desert island. My 4th one would probably be Come. And then my 5th one, God, it's really hard. I kind of want to take Love Symbol, but then there's some other ones that I want to take as well, because I've really grown into the Love Symbol album lately. God, this is hard. What should be my 5th one to take? Which one did I listen to a lot growing up? I think I might take 1999, because I really like that as well, and I just like the sound that it has to it. So yeah, I think I'll take 1999 for now, but I also want to take Love Symbol, so I might just sneak that into like my backpack somewhere or something.
If I could have a bonus 6th album, it would be the Black Album.
Ooh, nice, yes.
Because you need to party if you're on a desert island.
Shall we just like sneak a suitcase and just take all the albums with us? Right, yeah. But yeah, that's my pick, my 5 albums for now, but then again, that might change next week, so yeah.
Yes, the answer is only relevant to now.
Yeah, so this exact day.
Final question is from Amy Mizuno, and she says, do you think the title track from Graffiti Bridge would have worked as a sort of We Are the World style song if Prince had brought in different musicians to sing, every line or whatever?
Well, I do not think so, just based on the fact that I personally, it's not one of my favourite Prince songs. I do not think it's one of his strongest songs, as in being the title track of someone. I think being a song that's like close to We Are the World, I think For the Tears in Your Eyes is a lot better song to have there. That was written for that purpose. Yeah,
I don't think it would have worked like that at all. I mean, there are already, other vocalists and musicians on that song, like Tevin and etc. And I just don't think it's a great song. I never have. I kind of maybe I don't get it, you know, maybe somebody watching this will be like, I love Graffiti Bridge title track. But for me, it's one of the very, 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 very few Prince songs, just doesn't do very much for me. And yeah.
You know, I can see that maybe some people really like it in terms of like more spiritual sort of things, because I think both of us are not like, we're kind of like both feet on the ground people, and so
I don't think that's the case. If it was, you know, there's plenty of spiritual Prince songs that I like, despite not being, you know, that way inclined myself too much.
But there might, like I'm saying, there might be like a higher message to it that we don't really
totally
understand.
Missed.
Yeah, so like,
maybe.
Like,
I'm not saying it's a bad song. It just doesn't really do anything for me. It's not something I would choose to listen to. Basically, the only time I would listen to Graffiti Bridge is if I was listening to the whole albums, like start to finish, as like an entire, you know, piece of work, or watching the
Saying
movie.
that though, I really like all of Prince's other like spiritual songs, and the whole movie is has quite a spiritual theme to it. And I know that a lot of people don't like the Graffiti Bridge movie. We actually do. Well, I do. I don't know.
I
if
like
you
the movie
do.
a lot, but just that song, it's not good enough as a title track. It's not. It's just. I just don't think it works. I think maybe it's the production. Maybe if it was just like a piano ballad, like a minimal thing, like if it had the same kind of production style as like, you know, How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore, with just like piano and vocals or something, maybe that would work. It just feels a bit sort of overblown, and it's just doesn't really do it for me. But maybe you love it, and that's...
And you know what? If you do love it and you do feel like there's some kind of higher message behind it, then tell us about that as well, because we're obviously interested in your opinion about it. So,
I feel like everyone has a Prince song that maybe they just don't get. Or, you know, at least a couple of songs. I know my friend Chris, if he's watching this, Chris Johnson, he really hates Digital Garden from the Rainbow Children. He really doesn't like it. I was, you know, saw an old comment that he made on Facebook about how the song, you know, disturbs him, and he doesn't. He finds it very new agey and weird, and But I like Digital Garden. So, you know, any one person's opinion about any particular song is just that person's opinion, and feel free to disagree. But I don't think there's very much that could be done to Graffiti Bridge to make it better, unless you strip that song down completely and maybe start from scratch.
I think my unpopular opinion here that I do like the song 3 Chains of Gold, even though it's like a musical.
I like 3 Chains of Gold.
Really? There's a lot of Prince fans I've told me in the past that they did not like it, but maybe that's just like people that I know, but like they find it too like musical or massive. I like the little line about this morning I wanted a cup of coffee, but I didn't have any cream.
It does kind of, the only thing I would say about 3 Chains of Gold is it does basically sound like he was trying to make Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, kinda.
But I don't.
In a Prince way, though.
Yeah, in a Prince way. But I do like that song a lot. I think the only Prince song that I've found that people consistently dislike, that basically everyone I've spoken to says that song sucks, is when he did that song Purple and Gold for like the sports team. It was like, what the hell is this? And everyone was just like, I don't really know anyone that likes that song. But again, maybe you're the one person that does.
It's okay. Let's just say that it's okay.
I don't think I've listened to it since he put it out, and everyone was just like, "What is this?"
I guess if you really, if you don't really like a song, you like by default don't really listen to it that much. Yeah. Well, sometimes you try and grow into stuff, because I think for me, on like first listen, I didn't really like Hit and Run Phase 1 all that much. Now, coming back to it, I actually do, because I like gave it some time and I gave it some space, because it was Prince doing something completely different as always, but like with a more modern vibe to it. So something that I wasn't used to from him.
I will say this: go into a club, turn up the bass, and play "Shut This Down" and
Ain't About to Stop,
Ain't About to Stop, and the X's face, and it will slam.
Yeah, it was just kind of a shock, because I think at that time where he released it, I was listening to like almost like musicology and all that quite a lot. So all of a sudden, it was like super modern, like modern sounds, like computer, like digitalized stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, But I like it now. I used to be like, I don't know. But yeah, I do love it now. It's...
Alright guys, that is it for episode 2 of the Purple Request Show. Drop your questions in the comments and we will pick 5 of them for episode 3 to answer. I just want to give a quick shout out to Marcus Bonton. I said to him ages ago that we would be doing the Purple Request Show episode 2, and we would give him a shout out, and then we just didn't make it for ages and ages and ages.
But
so shout out to you, Marcus. Shout out to everyone that watches and likes and supports and retweets and comments on our video. Drop your question in the comments, because maybe we will answer yours next time. If it's a really good one, we'll pick it out and we'll be like, yes, we're going to answer that question.
You know what we should ask for this time? Give us some difficult questions, something that would be really difficult for you to answer, like the one about like where you have to pick your favorite songs or like where you have to pick your favorite album, because those kind of questions are difficult for us to answer because we basically like almost everything that Princess ever did. So,
give us a question that can lead into a large discussion. That's what we like. That's what we like. So, all right, signing off now. I'm Casey Rain.
I'm Kim Camilia.
We are The Violet Reality, and this has been the Purple Request Show, episode 2. See you next time.
Peace and be wild.
Hi, you've been watching The Violet Reality.
Yes, you have.
And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to
like,
comment, subscribe,
and
share
this video with all your friends. Woo!
Thanks.